Good morning. This is Trang Vo at the California ISO. Thank you for joining us for the Release User Group on January 23, 2023. As a reminder, today's call and webinar will be recorded and published on the ISO website for a limited time. Participants are muted upon entry, so you may need to unmute yourself via the WebEx as well as your audio line to make a verbal comment or ask a verbal question. You can also send a message in the chat and I will monitor those and address those throughout today's presentation. All right. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump in to the agenda. So in addition to our regular presentation, there are a few items that I want to call out in the beginning of today's Release User Group, and those are here. So we'll go over a quick update for the URL and IP and AUP changes as part of the application delivery resiliency effort. We have a weekly forum for the production transition. And then we have a topic for RSEE2 Track 2, and this is specific to the export e-tagging validation impacts that we want to increase visibility on as it pertains to that implementation. We have DAME BRS revisions as well as EDAM BRS revisions that will provide an overview on, and we do anticipate that team returning at the next RUG to cover any additional questions or updates that we didn't get to for DAME and EDAM. Right? Okay, so with that, I'll jump into the quick updates for those 4 topics before we go to our regular agenda. For the application delivery resiliency effort, we have kicked off a weekly forum for production transition. So that actually starts tomorrow at 2 o'clock Pacific time. And this is a dedicated forum for those that are impacted by the UI and API changes for this effort. So we'll meet weekly from 2 to 3 starting tomorrow to, again, increase the awareness of this implementation and cutover effort and cover the timelines that are associated. We'll provide guidance for users on their transitions to the new URLs for the UIs and the APIs, and we'll review the user feedback and observations and address any additional questions, as well as communicate any known issues and to customers as applicable. Okay. So we look forward to being able to have an in-depth conversation focused more on this effort with customers starting tomorrow. Any questions or comments on this? All right. I'm going to move on to the next topic. So we have the RSEE2 Track 2 exports e-tagging validation impacts. So as many of you know or have been involved in, we have had RSEE2 Track 2 underway for some time. Where we are with the current implementation is that we have the full market simulation targeted to start in February, mid to late February, for a production activation that's now shifted to target the month of April to be in place by the summer. So there are some tagging impacts that we are aware of that we wanted to, again, emphasize and get in front of customers as we want customers to be as prepared as possible for this change prior to the market simulation and then, of course, for production as well. So this summarizes that. So for RSEE2 Track 1, we implemented export e-tagging submission requirements for GF and GFP in the tags, and then the priority type. RSEE2 Track 2 will introduce export e-tagging validation, including validation against market data. And so the BRS is linked here, as well as the requirement that we want to call out. If you look at the last sub-bullet here, you'll see that there is validation that we will be enforcing on export e-tags against the market results. So we have another slide here to elaborate on that. So starting with the RSEE2 Track 2 activation, export e-tags will now be validated against day-ahead and real-time market results. So that does require that day-ahead and real-time markets close in order for those tags to be validated against the market priority type in the market results. So the impact of that will be that that the submission of pre-day ahead or pre-real-time export GFP e-tags before the market clears will now be denied. So we realize that's a big, that may be a big shift and has most impact on those that, of course, tag ahead of time for this. I think we're still working through some additional implications that will come and have broader team discuss at a future RUG. We're targeting for the next RUG in 2 weeks. And at this time, there are a couple of things that customers can do to start preparing for that is in market simulation as well as in production. Please be mindful of, again, when you submit e-tags for exports, and then try to align that with the new timeline after the day ahead and real-time market closures as much as possible, so that you can get adjusted to that that requirement and that timeline change due to the e-tag validation against the market. And we are making sure that we include robust training and communication about this this change, this market validation against the e-tag change, so that we minimize the impact to customers for this. So this will be returning and to the RUG, and then we will continue that conversation throughout the implementation and communicate heavily and broadly for this as we move forward. Okay. Any questions or comments on the e-tagging validation impacts against exports or e-tags? Okay, Chen-Yu, please go ahead.
Good morning, Trinh. This is Chen-Yu from PG&E. So with this new rule, is it impossible to submit something with the firm priority GFP and for the day ahead and the pre-real-time export? So under what condition can we trigger or can we submit the firm priority to make sure that those will be accepted?
Yeah, so my understanding, and I have the team on here to support, is that when an export e-tag is submitted with GFP, then there's a rule to validate the priority type in that export GFP e-tag when it's created, to validate that market priority type against the market priority type in the market results. So if it's that type of tag and it's submitted prior to the associated market closure for day ahead or real time, then it will be denied, because in the absence of market results and it can't validate the e-tag against the market, then that tag will be denied. Okay. So I am going to ask the ISO team to see if they want to add anything. See. All right. Okay. So Chen-Yu, does that answer your question so far? We can go over more detail if you have additional questions, and you can submit them in a city, and we can queue those up for the next presentation. We do plan to again bring this back and then continue to provide additional information.
Yeah, I think an example, it will be helpful, because I think I can share that one of the reason I asked that is we really trying to test the e-tag with the GFP option, and I'm not sure how can we get CAISO to accept that. And I think this is one of the scenarios we tried to test and it failed. So in order to test the e-tag with the GFP, how can we do that? And Kaiso will be able to accept it. I think it will be, if you can provide an example in the next opportunity, I think that will be greatly help for us to create a test scenario and conduct the retest.
Understood. Yep. So, so we do plan to provide some examples, and again, we're working on making sure that the training does include this prior to the market simulation. Is our target to give an opportunity to really be clear about how to test this in market sim. So, so I have that. I've captured that from you. Thank you.
Good. Good. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go to Nolan.
Yeah,
Unmute your line.
Nolan with Portland Merchant. Just
Yep.
to clarify, so if a tag is sent with transmission and no megawatts before the market closes, that will still be denied since the market won't be able to validate. And then to follow up on that, if the intent is to send that tag with 0 energy before the market closes and then adjust the tag up after the market closes to the market award, that will be an invalid tag. Is that correct?
Yes. So based on my understanding from the team, that even submitting it with a 0 will not allow for that tag to be submitted, and then submitting it with a 0 with the intent to modify it up to the market type is not a valid scenario because this does do the validation upon ETAG creation.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nolan. Okay, let's go to Lindsay.
Hi, Lindsay Schleckwood with NV Energy. You had mentioned training. Do you have a date for when you're targeting to issue training for this?
So we have our training representative on, and our target would be to have some training prior to the start of the market simulation, if possible, which is planned for the end of February for the full market simulation for this. So I don't think we have a specific date yet, but I think that a safe target would be middle to late February. But we'll work with our training team to confirm, and then you'll have the associated notices about that. Cynthia, please add anything if you want to clarify or have anything else in mind.
Thanks, Trent. So I think you've covered it. We are working on a plan to provide that training and figure out the date, and potentially some other communications before that to outline what these changes are.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Lindsay. It's a good question. Okay, thanks, Cynthia. Isaac, please go ahead.
Hi, Trang. This is Isaac with SCE. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, a couple of I guess a comment and a question. The comment is that I think as at least from our experience, most e-tags today pre-schedule are being tagged ahead of market close. So this is a pretty significant timeline shift for a lot of the participants, I would imagine. And this being in late January, you're planning to implement this in April with the market sim schedule late February. Might be a tough schedule to stick to. So just wanted to bring that up. And also in terms of market sim, I've done some pre-testing, and as you know, I've submitted city tickets as well as emails. I'm not able to get the right market awards still in the market sim environment, and there's the report that that is supposed to tell me what market priorities are. I haven't been able to get results in that report. So I was wondering, how likely are you going to be able to have the market sim in February, and also yeah, if my city tickets can be looked at and addressed prior to that.
Yeah, understood. So as part of our preparation to go and start the market simulation QRB, we do review existing city cases and then any defects that we have internally that might have been created to track some of the observations in city. So it is a priority for us to address those cities, and we do apologize for the delays that you're having there. So on the market simulation, again, we are still awaiting some additional code fixes or functionality, and then once we receive those, we'll do the end-to-end and validate on our side as well prior to starting that market simulation. So that's on that side. And then as far as the significance of this change, we do understand that this could have a significant impact on tagging practices of those, especially those, as you mentioned, that submit tags way ahead of time. And so again, our guidance is really, we want to communicate as broadly as we can right now and regularly as we can. And like I said, even now in production and market sim, without RSEE fully active for this functionality and this validation against the market, customers can start getting familiar with that timeline too, and start shifting their tagging practices to align with market closure as well for these types of tags. And we'll provide more guidance as we get additional details and feedback from our internal SMEs, but I think, for immediate action, that is an option to increase readiness for our customers to adjust to this, is that you can't, there's nothing preventing you from submitting the tags in this manner today. But we do, I want to emphasize that we do recognize that this is a significant change for our customers. Okay. All right. Thanks, Isaac.
This is Elena here from PG&E. So this is
Yeah, go ahead.
related to market simulation question. So we have submitted some tags and we just wanted to check the submission functionality of it. So I just want to confirm, and I've already emailed you the details of it. We also have a city ticket in place. So just want to confirm if we can retest submitting those tags with the current functionality, or we will have to wait for CAISO to deploy the validation functionality, which is in March. Because if we don't have to wait, then we can just retest it right now with the current functionality. So just want to confirm that. If you can provide the confirmation soon, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I will take that and review the current map stage configuration with you. As I mentioned, there are changes that are still queued up for our tagging system that will go to map stage in the month of February. But the impact of that may or may not be related to your city. So we'll review that and provide a clear response.
Exactly.
Thanks,
yeah. Thanks, Tran.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Amy Burrow, please go ahead and unmute your line and speak when you're ready.
Hi, good morning. Just to piggyback a little bit on what Isaac was saying about this being a pretty significant change, I'm curious if there's any plan to back up the timing of when the market results are going to be published, waiting till 1 o'clock, and then it gets delayed sometimes, and now it's not till 2 o'clock or 2:30, right? Like that's really pushing the delay down the line. So is there any movement to back up the market results to maybe start getting published around 11 or 12 even, so that people would have time to follow this new request? And then my other clarification question would be that this is only affecting export tags, import tags that are product GFP are not affected by this?
So for your first question, thank you. These are great questions. For the first one, as far as backing up market closure, you're referring to day ahead, of course, and I think that would have other significant implications at this time. So it's not something that we're actively exploring. And, we will continue to have those discussions. But as far as late, when the market is running late and the late closures, then that is something that you know, is a real scenario that we want to make sure that you're prepared for. And so we just actually even discussed this right before the call today, that we want to provide some more feedback around that, but we don't have that yet for today. So I would say that for guidance about and I guess mitigation for the ETAG impacts for late market closures, we're working on providing more information on that. So I would stay tuned to a future communication and future RUG for that. But if you want to also submit a city case with a specific question, we can also address it there too. So I hope that helps, Amy, for now. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and then the second question about the import schedules or the inbound direction, are those part of this as well?
This is just outbound, and Sherry can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just on the creation of the outbound e-tags that are export GFT.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Yep, thank you. And then she already actually did confirm. Thank you. Okay, John Mayhew, let's go to you. Please unmute your line. Go ahead.
John Mayhew, Public Service Company in New Mexico. Good morning. I'm wondering if the CAISO has done any evaluation on the effect of this with EIM entities. And what I'm specifically kind of concerned about is in the real time, not being able to put in tags until after the T55 base schedule submittal. At that point, entities could fail the T55, and then with the short-term unit commitment, try to turn on some of our generation thinking that we're short, when in actuality, it's just the timing of the tag on an export that we were planning on bringing into our BA.
So, John, that's a really great question, and actually one that is on our radar. Specific to WEIMs, I know that our customer service team has reached out to many of the WEIM entities to have them articulate again the impact of this. And so I want to table this one though, because it is going to require a more detailed response that we want to include, you know, in an example and things like that. But that is on our radar, that we will be sharing more information about in the next RUG in 2 weeks, and then also include in our written communication and notices out. So I'm sorry, I don't have a response for you today, but it is on our radar.
That's okay, as long as it's on the radar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Tricia, please unmute your line and go ahead when you're ready.
Yeah, I guess my question, you know, maybe as entities are thinking about this, is that would this impact delayed tags? Because you could put the delayed tags out, and then once that market award did come through, they could be pushed through. And then I would just like to kind of echo some of the concerns that John and Amy have with timing. This has been something that's come up in other calls as we're getting ready for EDAM and DAME, is really that considering those timelines, I think, and when we're getting things would be something really big, which I realize is something that has to go to a broader issue, but I think it was worth bringing up here.
Yeah, so thank you, Tricia. So for the impact of delayed tags, so that's not something that I think that we have an immediate response for, and I apologize for that again, with the commitment that we will take this back to the team and then add this to the future presentation. Yeah, for impact of delayed tags, I don't think we have any guidance right now, but I'll take that back. And then for the consideration of the timelines, we understand that this is would be compounded by, you know, additional functionality that's on the horizon with DAME and such. But I think we're going to take it step by step and try to you know, assess it for RSEE first, and then of course while we're doing that, we'll consider the impact of the upcoming implementations. But right now we don't have any response for that.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tricia. Okay, and then again, the ISO team is here to support me. So if there's anything that you want to add, Sherry and team, please go ahead. Okay. All right, so we understand this is a significant change. We'll continue and look forward to being able to communicate more and addressing a lot of the items that came up today. So, Any other questions or comments on this? All right. Let's go to the day-ahead market enhancements, BRS revisions. So we have Amr on to give us an overview of these changes. So we've communicated the BRS revisions for some time. These were published on December 22nd. We know that we have additional questions that have come in city that we will continue to address and incorporate. But for now, this is what has been published, and I would like to turn it over to Amr to walk us through this. Amr?
Thanks, Trang. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ian.
Okay, yep. So I will go through the revision history, the one you have on your screen now, and then maybe open it for question. And if we have time, then we can scan through the changes in the BRS directly. But the list in your screen, this is from the revision history. So we have, of course, the first one is just clarification, correction of some typo, some cleanup. Second item on the list here, we did some reorganization between the EDEM BRS and DEM BRS. So we moved requirements between the BRS just to make it more aligned with the scope of that project or that BRS. And then we did some update for the business requirement. Again, we have some clarified policy and some also when we cross-check it with the tariff, so we find some update that we wanted to make to the BRS. So these are the sub-list or the sub-bullets here. The first one here is we restore back the reliability capacity bid cap to 250. I think before it was like 55, so we corrected that, it's 250. And the second item on the list, for the MSS specific annual RAC, so this flag, no matter the MSS election, is going to be always opted in for the RAC participation. And the third item, this one regarding the settlement, so we netted the reliability capacity up and down, overlapping capacity in the PCR, in the RAC PCR calculations. And the next item is regarding the REAM. So this one was just a clarification that we are not assessing the REAM for the imbalance reserve and reliability capacity award for the generic and the flex resource adequacy. The next item is regarding the virtual forecasted movement. So we extended the day ahead and base schedule forecasted movement to the virtual supply and demand resources. And we also updated the settlement part that we extended the FMM, the 15-minute market deviation settlement, also to virtual supply and demand resources. And we added a PRQ for the allocation for the virtual forecasted movement, what we call it residual forecasted movement settlements. We had a PRQ for that added. Next item regarding the transitional period, the 3-pay period where we do the true-up settlement. So we made a change to move the entry data for the LSE resource pair that are subject to the true-up flag. Before it was only LSE, so now we make it LSE resource pair and we move it from master file, so now they can enter directly to CIRA. Next item, this one regarding the ETAG validation. If the ETAG validation fails, so we put the upper economic limit to 0 for system resources to account for that. And the following item is requiring, so this one is also requiring that resources with RCU award that submitted day-ahead energy bid export outside the EDEM area, they must provide a decremental real-time energy bid to dispatch down the export schedule in the 15-minute mark. Second one is also we have a clarification note that updated not to mitigate the RCU bid that are submitted on behalf of import from outside the EDEM area. Next item regarding the CMRI report. So we also now publishing the overlapping RE capacity, the one that are used for, of course, the imbalance reserve part for true-up settlement, but we also do it for the overlapping RE capacity for reliability capacity up and down. So we have a report now in CMRI that publish the imbalance reserve and reliability capacity overlapping RE capacity. Second one was just more of a cleanup item that we changed when we do the calculation for the 5-minute portion of the IRU IRD. So before we have it day ahead plus IRU minus IRD. So now we just clean it up to make it corresponding to the day ahead energy schedule when we calculate the ramp rate segment, corresponding ramp rate segment that we use for the 5-minute ramp capable portion of imbalance reserve. Next item also, it's a cleanup item that we remove the requirement for intertie congestion component being included in RCU, RCD marginal prices. And the following item also, again, we updated the AS-SOC formulation constraint. So there were also some minor update there that we updated. The following item is accounting the imbalance reserve surplus. So now we have the requirement and surplus. So we accounted that in the market optimization, and we also accounted for the surplus in the settlement, and also we published that along with the requirement. So now we report the requirement, the surplus, and also the AP node that is associated with that requirement or surplus. Next item is allowed the minimum daily bid energy limit to be positive or negative in CYPR, consistent with the market. And this next item expanded the imbalance reserve requirement input model to cover trading day +1 and +2 in the market and reporting. So now we are covering additional day, so we can give you a look ahead in the future, and we will publish it also in WASIS. The next item is we added formula for the certified capacity for IRU, IRD, and also RCU, RCD. And this one is done in master file, but we put the formula how we did this calculation. And then before we had the proxy RCU flag, now we move it, make it proxy RCU megawatt, just more in line. It's just gonna clarify from implementation perspective to have a megawatt value for the proxy RCU. And following one also, this is regarding the imbalance reserve quantile regression model. So we changes to make all the days type are weekdays. And the last item in this list is we updated, this is the settlement item, we updated the formulation for the imbalance reserve PEA average price, drive price, the allocation cost also. So this was settlement item also changes. Is that the full list, or do you have something in the next slide?
Nope, this is the only slide for the DAME BRS revisions. Thank you, Amr, for putting this together and working with the team to get this out. So I know that's a lot of information for one slide, but again, we wanted to just have Amr come and give an overview of this, and then if there are questions, then we would like to have those submitted via Citi with the functional environment of release, and then we will queue those up for the next RUG in 2 weeks to go over some of those themes and provide overall responses on some of the feedback that we've received. So does anybody have any immediate questions on the revisions here? Okay, Chen-Yu, please go ahead.
Hi, Trang. Thanks for go over the changes. So like I did send you a chat, I feel like this is a large effort and maybe more in-depth discussion. Maybe we can have a separate meeting just to dedicate for the DAM and the EDAM changes. I also have a question for the city tickets that we opened for DAM and the EDAM since late last year. Understand those not being reflected. Of course, first we need CAISO's clarification on those questions we have. And I also noticed that this change does not reflect what we're asking. So I'm just wonder how's the timing going to work? Shall we be expecting the comments back from the CAISO soon for those city tickets? And because the reason I'm asking is that we're really trying to not having so many review sessions for the revisions. I mean, of course, like this one, we definitely will, but if we knew that it's going to be coming, another revision coming next month, then we might just kind of wait for the review session. And in terms of planning. So please let me know when shall we expect those city tickets be answered, and we
Right.
go in and check it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Chenyu, for the comment in the chat as well as bringing them up here. So I think, you know, we are enhancing the release implementation engagement with our customers. And so you know, we can adjust how we're doing this. So I know that we want to give you more advanced notice of when we will present the BRS revisions. And so, so we'll work on refining that process for how we have these kind of reviews scheduled and communicated going forward. So thank you for your patience and understanding as we evolve this process a little bit, just to give you more transparency into these changes. And so the city cases, you can, so we are reviewing those, and so within the next, I know that our team is aware of those too. So then within the next couple of weeks, we can put some feedback in there. And then as far as upcoming BRS revisions, so when we have certainty of some changes that are in the queue for upcoming BRS revisions, even if the BRS isn't published yet, we'll do our best to give you advance notice of what's on the horizon for BRS revisions so that you can be prepared as soon as possible and consolidate and be more efficient with your efforts. And so I'll get back with the team right now, and then now that we have this first major revision out for both DAME and EDAM to align with, again, the tariff and other clarifications and updated clarified policy, then we can have a better idea of what's in the queue. So in the next RUG, we can come and revisit this with a little bit more emphasis on any upcoming BRS changes, as well as the emphasis on the city cases that have been submitted to date for these. And then going forward for separate discussions too, I'll work with the team to kind of define the logistics a little bit based on the size of the implementation and the BRS to see what's appropriate for a review session, and then we can certainly schedule something separate outside of the RUG.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for that. Yep. Alva, please go ahead.
Hi, this is Alva, also PG&E, and thanks to Chenyu for bringing up what's not in this list. I think the dual of it, which maybe Amr can respond to, is in terms of what is in this list. Is it documented in the BRS itself or elsewhere? What the motivation for each of these fixes is? If it's just clarification, or if it was discovery of an inconsistency or input from market participants, it would be really helpful to know which of these, it'll give us a better sense of which of these is most important to focus on in looking at the BRS.
Hi, Alva. Yes, some of these are, so we did some tariff mapping at the end to make sure that we have the requirements are matching the tariff. So we find some gaps that we wanted to match with the tariff. So this is some of them. And there are others also. We got some clarification either from the policy or from just me that some of these need to changes. And the last one, of course, was some feedback from the participant. I don't think it includes, of course, your last feedback on the PRS. I know we have CD ticket for that, but this one was an earlier feedback that we received also, so we included in this one. Again, everything we needed to make sure it matches the tariff and matches the policy.
Right.
And all these, of course, are.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if it would be possible, if it doesn't exist already, for you to go through this list of bullet items and essentially create a table where we could identify what was what. I appreciate your describing what the sources were, but it would be good to know in more detail which of these is a tariff requirement, which of these was based on market participant feedback, and which was based on SME feedback, and that will just help us. That will guide us in our looking at these.
Yes, we can do that. Yep, we can do that exercise.
Great. Thank you, Amar. It's good to hear your voice.
Thank you. Thank you, Alba.
Thanks, Alba. Thanks, Amar. June, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, this is June. I just want to, the changes from the one we published before. So I think, and in terms of like a overall, what is this two, they had enhancement and EDAM, the two big BRS, maybe it's like review overall, like what is the structure or how will we map into the tariff and matters, right? This one is only the changes from the last, this the bullet point, only the changes from the last one. So I don't know, Ava. So what do you question probably beyond this bullet point, right? It's like how would
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's more just for the changes, because we've been going through, as Chen Yu said, we've been trying to review the BRS, and it's more trying to understand when you're making changes to it, keeping track of that is difficult. So that was really more of my question. But thank you, June.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay, I just trying to understand if we the follow up will we have a separate section for data enhancement and the EDAP, how would we pursue it? Would we need a like overall review for the BRS and the walkthrough, the like major requirement? Then isn't then do this like changes, like the reason for change, which is very your question addressed but for us to answer those like questions. But anyway, give us some feedback. How would we be able to, like, for the overall the market participant, how would we present our BRS and engage the people feedback, like in terms of like how do we communicate, make sure people understand the requirement impact.
Thank you very much, Julie. And I think others might have other feedback. I really appreciate what you're saying. I appreciate your willingness to help us understand. Thank you.
Yeah, this is a big one. So I think it's that's the one point that what I want to like address, like a proxy rock, the rock up capacitor. Why? What is the purpose? So this question definitely will need answer. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you, Alba, for the really good feedback, and then June and Amar. And again, we're flexible, and we're looking, as June mentioned, we're looking for feedback from you all to understand how to best have these types of discussions about BRSs and BRS revisions going forward. So we're happy, again, to schedule a separate session just for DAME and EDAM, just because of how significant or how many changes there are, and then we can kind of go from there. But I think that we understand Alba's request for feedback on the catalyst for a lot of these BRS revisions, and then we can see if we can provide some groupings of those those catalysts, and then for customers to prioritize their review of the revisions. Okay. So just a time check here. We have about 15 minutes left. So we had EDAM on the list to go over the revisions, and maybe we can just spend a few minutes on just an overview of that, but not go into detail, and then queue that up for either the next RUG or, like June said, a proxy RUG or a separate ad hoc one to review that. And then we'll go on to cover some of the summer initiatives, okay? So Adam, are you on? This is the summary. I put in the chat for everyone the link or location of the external BRSs, so you can go and follow along because the revisions that we have for the EDAM BRS are in a little bit different format that does show what's updated, new, and removed by section, but we didn't go into a lot of the detail here, but you can follow along in the BRS. So maybe Adam can just kind of go over at a high level and then highlight some significant changes on this. Adam, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. And if you want me to bring up the document, let me know. Otherwise, maybe you can just cover some general themes of this.
Yeah, why don't I can cover some general themes. I think that works. So as you can see here, we have a list of all the requirements updated, what's been added, what's been removed. And so while it doesn't say here, section 5.1 would be master file, et cetera, going down the line. So what I can do is I can at a high level kind of give an overview content-wise of what's changed for each major section there. And then we can go from there since we don't have a ton of time. So in master file, we have some clarifications for how mirroring system resources in WIM to the WIM to mirror the day-ahead schedules. Some changes to the model of how existing system resources are modeled. We've broken out definition of OAT rights into OAT 1 and OAT 2. That is higher scheduling priority in real time than day-ahead schedules for OAT 1 and equal scheduling priority with day-ahead schedules for OAT 2. There's also a few clarifications with regards to the GHG regulation area, which includes intertie association. Those are the main topics for master file. Moving into forecasting, I apologize, I'm going a little quick so I can give this overview. In forecasting, the main piece that's changed there is the demand response load factor adjustment. Sorry, did I hear a question or comment?
Yeah, actually, I'm sorry, Adam, to kind of maybe shift the plan a little bit, but
yeah, no problem.
Would you mind coming back at the next RUG or a separate meeting to go over this?
That sounds great. Let's do that because yeah, rushing through this probably isn't super beneficial.
Yeah. Okay. So apologies for those that were expecting that, but again, this 2-page summary, again, just is in the BRS itself, but it kind of helps illustrate updates, new requirements, and then remove requirements. And then the BRS, the versions that are published will have the detail. If you have any questions on your review, please submit a city case and or reach out to us via email. And then we can try to queue those up for the next RUG. And then we'll also ask Adam to come back and then cover this in a separate meeting. Chen-Yu, please go ahead.
Yeah, so real quick. So I really see this as a good model for the day-ahead market enhancement BRS revision as well. So for June and Amo, and if you can also put in this format of the changes, I think that will be very, very helpful. Thank you.
All right, that's good feedback, and then I'm sure that we will take that back again as we work through how to best provide this information. So any other feedback that you have like that, please let us know. Okay, then with that, I want to go and spend a little bit of time just on the summer release and some of the independent items, and then that'll take us to the end. So for summer release, we have transmission service and market scheduling priority phase 2, and then the transmission exchange agreement. And then we have, as part of the settlement summer release, this ASSOC retroactive enhancement. It's not an actual initiative on its own, but it's still an effort to address some production leftover items from our previous implementations. So then for independent, we have RSEE Phase 2, Track 2 that we talked a little bit about for tagging. And the significant update is that the activation is now targeted for April. And then we have the URL and IP changes. And then for our other independent efforts, you can see them there. The TR upgrade is in market simulation now through the end of the month, and that with a production target of February 27th. We have hybrid resources Phase 2C for REMS, targeted for Q4 of 2024. And then CRR system upgrade, Q3 and Q4 activities for production in 2024. CAISO website replacement Q3, and then tracks 1 and 2 of FERC 881 are also on for independent 2024. Okay, so I see some hands raised, so let me address those now. Alva, please go ahead.
Just a quick one. Is there a write-up of what's encompassed by ASSOC retroactive enhancement? I hadn't heard about this one before.
Yeah, if you hold, I'll get to there, but it is in this presentation.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Krishanti, please go ahead.
For the AUP changes, I've created a CDT. The number is 271088. Could you escalate the ticket and get us the answer, please?
Yeah, sure. And then again, I'll have that queued up for tomorrow's forum too. I'm not sure if you'll be able to attend, but if it's something that we communicate broadly, we'll also communicate there. Okay. Thanks, Krishanti.
Sure. Thank you, Tran.
All right. So I'm going to not go into detail into the 2026 items because for DAME and EDAM, that's kind of what I wanted to cover today with the BRS revision. But then also for DAME and EDAM, you may have received a notice that the first set of settlement config guides are posted, so that's notable there as well. Okay, so summer 2024 for transmission service and market scheduling priorities. So the good news is that the BRS for this one is planned to be published today. So it says February, but that's actually on track to publish today. So you'll be able to review that. And then the draft config guides are planned for February 12th. We are still working with the team to validate that date. The OASIS tech specs are already published as of January 12th and available on the DEV site. And then, so another update is on tariff activities, the Track 2 final draft tariff language was published on December 19th, and we do plan to file Track 2 tariff changes Q1 of this year. For BPM, we have PRR 1548 that was made available January 16th, and this is for the manual process that is in progress right now for the summer. And then we have we will have additional market operations BPM changes for the automated solution as well, and then the other BPM changes that we've already communicated. For production activation, some of you may have been involved and engaged in the couple of stakeholder calls that we have to walk through the process for summer 2024. So I've linked some of that information there. That's also available on the reliability requirements page on CAISO.com. On January 16th, we did publish the monthly ATC values for June of this year through January of 2025. And then the request window is currently open through the end of the month. And then we'll communicate the results for that first period by February 5. And then on the stakeholder initiatives page, you can also refer to those couple of customer stakeholder forums that we did have that also show the timeline for the next 2 cycles as well. And then we'll continue to send communication out about that. The automated functionality will be available April 17th, and then the Activation, the full activation of this initiative is planned to deploy into production the end of May 26th, I believe it is, for activation by June 1st. Okay. All right. And any questions or, oh, actually, I had a couple slides here. So for transmission service and market scheduling priorities, phase 2, here's some other implementation key milestones. So you'll see that market simulation is here, and then these 2 different phases that we have for monthly and daily processing. So this one, we do plan to have settlements as part of the market simulation. So during those windows that you see, we will plan to settle trade dates Tuesdays and Thursdays through those windows. And I have one more slide here to just go over the visual timeline. So again, these last couple of slides were in those stakeholder forums. So some of you may have seen those already, but they're here for your reference as well. Does anyone have any questions or comments on CSMSP2? All right, I don't see anything. Okay. And then we have transmission exchange agreement, which is specific to WAPA. So for this one, we will not have an external BRS published. This impacts WAPA only. And so the BRS will be provided directly to WAPA. That's ready and on its way today to that organization. We have some settlements config guides associated to this, planned for publication February 12th for the summer settlements release. We do have tech specs expected in February for CMRI, and a settlements and billing change expected to have a PRR to go with the config guides. For market simulation, we will have this in the map stage environment for WAPA to participate in, and you can see the window there, and then the activation is planned for June 1st. Chen-Yu, please go ahead.
Yes, real quick. So the CMRI tech spec, is it a specifically just change that WAPA can see, or we can other market participants also able to see those and need to adapt the changes?
Yeah, let me clarify because I know that there are also permissions changes as part of this initiative that may be linked to the visibility of the CMRI changes, but I do plan on getting the latest system interface change summary slides that I usually have put together, and then I can elaborate on that there, okay?
Sure.
As far as who should. Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions or comments? Okay. All right, so Alva and others. So this summer 2024 settlements release also includes this ASSOC flag enhanced logic. I'm not going to go over it in detail, Alva, because these slides were already presented by Yannick and Tyler in the settlement user group on January 17, and I'm not sure that they're both here, and we don't have the time to go over it now, but you can listen to that recording. But I do have it here because there were some questions that came up in the settlement user group that we want to address, and we want to leave this in here and bring it to the RUG as well for visibility. But we do have some information, and like I said, if you want to refer to the recording on the settlement user group on January 17th, that's a good place to start, and then we're happy to take any other questions that you have after that, Alva. Does that work for you?
Thank you. Thank you. I have to go to another call anyway right now, but thank you very much for this, and I'll pursue it.
Okay. Chen-Yu, please go ahead.
Sorry, back to the comment you made that in that call, I recall the CMRI, it's not showing the advisory hours, therefore there's no visibility, and the market participants requesting the CAISO to enhance or find an alternative where we can validate. So is that going to be part of the release for this ASSOC effort?
Yeah, so that is still under discussion. So I know that that was a big topic that came up, and we have that under discussion right now, but we don't have an update or a commitment as of now. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Hey,
Mike, please go ahead.
Real quick, Trang, just to follow up on that. I know we discussed it on the last call, but I think this needs to be discussed on in a different forum or a separate call just to focus on the impacts of this, because it will be, if you guys do change logic to provide an advisory interval data, it would be a significant change. So anyway, I'm just reiterating my encouragement to have another call specifically on this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I know that was helpful before, Mike, and so I think that's a good way to address this, and we'll work on pursuing a separate call as well, or dedicated call. Okay, good. Thank you. And I think it's good for you to raise that here too, because it might, it might raise some other questions or comments from others as well. So we look forward to hearing from others too. Okay. And then just for independent, I'm gonna just go over this quickly for the timeline because we did get a question about that, and then we'll end the call. Okay, so for RSEE evaluation, RSEE phase 2 track 2, so the timeline Nolan was asking, so is planned for April of 2024. So April of this year. So what we have, what we're working on now again is being able to get the final code tested and then ready for market simulation. And in parallel with that, we're working on robust communication with our customers about the this initiative, and then the impact, of course, of the tagging that we discussed earlier, and making sure that we have customers ready for the significant change, especially in the tagging space. So we do have a path to April. We hear your feedback that may be aggressive, and we look forward to more feedback like that, of what you need to and how we can support that. But currently that is our timeline for this. So market sim again, late February to March, and then production activation plan for April. Okay, thanks, Nolan. MCG, Vancouver, please unmute your line.
Yeah, I'll keep this quick because I know you're closing the call, but I know the presentation will be published later today. Does that include any updates to the tech specs on EDAM?
It does not at this point. Yeah, it does not at this point. And I'm sorry, who was this from MCG?
This is Robert Franklin from MCG.
Okay, Robert. So we don't, but if there were specific ones that you were interested in, let me know. But right now for EDAM, we have Q1 2024 as a general target for each of those. We're working on getting them out as soon as possible, but we might have a couple that are still targeted for January that I can just check with the team before, but I can't. I'm not sure that we can confirm that yet.
Okay, thank you.
So if that you're wondering about, just shoot me a note and then let me know, okay?
All right, will do, thanks.
Okay, thanks. All right, so we covered a lot today. I want to open it up one last time for any additional questions or comments from anyone. I know there might be a lot of feedback, so you also have the opportunity when we publish this, you can submit a city with the functional environment of release. Or you can also send an email to tivo@kaiso.com or release@kaiso.com, and then we will queue up any questions that we have for the next vlog in a couple weeks. Okay, thanks for hanging out this long, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.